Okay, well, here we go. This is pretty exciting for me. This is the pilot episode of the Fuzz and Barrels podcast. Where is this thing going to go? I have absolutely no idea where it's going to go. However, I'm extremely excited to just start talking and see what happens. A little bit of a background. I'm a baseball guy. I started playing when I was young, say around not the T-ball age, but I started playing when I was around 8 or 9. Played in high school, did all of the, American Legion type stuff. Was fortunate enough to play in college. And after college, I just continued to have the love for the game. Took a break from it for a while, and then my son started playing and got back involved. So things changed from the time that I was playing until now. Travel ball, playing all year round. Back in my day, we were playing all the sports and simply just seasonal for baseball. 15, 20 games a year. Now it's all year long. So I want to talk about that during the podcast, but just so you guys will know, Fuzz and Barrels. So what the name? What kind of a name is that? Well, kind of a new hip term for throwing the baseball hard is throwing fuzz. So I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. Thought about gas, thought about cheese, thought about all kinds of stuff, but never really heard anything with fuzz. And then obviously when you hit the ball hard, you find a barrel. So I thought, why not? Fuzz and Barrels. Sounded pretty catchy. It was goofy at first, but now that I've been doing a few other things on some social media with it, it's catching on. So I like it. So that's it. That's the name. Some of the things that I definitely want to talk about on the podcast going forward. Again, this is the pilot episode. You guys who are going to watch this, which may be almost nobody, the audio quality is not going to be very great. The video quality is not going to be very great. The video quality, even going down the road, is probably not going to be great because you have to look at me. But I digress. All the things are going to look a lot better going forward, but this is the pilot, so it's going to be trial and error. But things that I want to talk about. One, I have a passion on helping kids who really want to play the game, okay? I'll get into a bunch of different things on that, but whether it's helping youth kids who may be a little bit unfortunate, trying to find them a way to get proper training, things like that, all the way up to the kids who are really good, who are trying to play in college, finding them a home. That whole thing has changed, so when we talk about college, I want to talk about the transfer portal, I want to talk about the NIL money, name, image, and likeness, and all of those types of things. So I want to talk about, do's and don'ts with showcases and things like that for the younger guys that are looking to play in college. That's one of the things. Number two is I want to help educate people with rules. If you've seen any of my other, TikTok, it's Smash on Baseball on there, and that's something I'm going to talk about. It's an indoor training facility here in Louisville. But if you've seen me on TikTok, well, you'll know that I post questions, you make the call, and then the answers are all over the place. So throughout my years in travel ball, I have heard some crazy things from the stands, all right? And I'll admit, I've been pretty good my whole entire life with the travel ball thing, but I've said some things that I probably shouldn't have said also. I'll admit it, but I hear all kinds of crazy things from the stands. The hands are part of the bat. The ball hit the plate, it's foul. Tie goes to the runner. All of these different things. So what I want to do is I want to try to educate the casual fan on some rules. Some of them are easy. Some of them are not so easy. But we can debate it. I have a host of umpires that always chime in that help with the rules. So I want to help the casual fan with the rules. So maybe it can make all of our times in the stands a little bit more enjoyable. Also, I want to talk about the parent do's and don'ts on Little League, some things that you can do to help your kids and things that you can't. I also want to have guests on the show. What type of guests do I want to have? I don't want to this will always be about baseball for the most part, but I might bring in some other sports people, basketball, football, whatever, softball. There's a lot of great softball content out there. I'd love to have some of the softball people on. But I want to bring on some umpires, and we can just have a discussion. And sometimes we can go live on different avenues, take some calls if I can ever figure out how to do that, and interact with everyone. So the umpires will really be able to help me. I am not an umpire. I learned the rules with all of you guys. So I want to have some umpires on. I want to have coaches on. I want to have little league coaches on. I want to have college coaches on. I want to have high school coaches on. And I really want to talk about what they're looking for in players, how they run their programs, things like that. A lot of the do's and don'ts as well. So I want to have them on. And then, other types of social media people who are in baseball. There's a lot of people out there that do hitting instruction. There's a lot of people that do pitching instruction. There's all different sorts of specialized things that I would love to really get into. Baseball is a science. Hitting a baseball is not easy. You have to think about this. Let's think about baseball for a second, okay? Baseball is arguably the hardest sport to play. If you go out and you get a basketball player and you say, here, hit a fastball, they can't do it for the most part. If you get a football player, here, hit this fastball, they can't do it for the most part, all right? Throw the ball here. You've seen some of the first pitches. They can't do it, all right? If you take a baseball player and say, hey, go shoot a basketball, they can hang. Go play some football. They can hang, right? So baseball is extremely hard. Think about it. You have to hit a round ball with a round bat, and you have almost no room for error. The ball is coming at you sometimes upwards of 100 miles per hour. And then once you're lucky enough to hit the ball, you've got 9 people on defense against one person trying to get you out. If you succeed 1 out of every 3 times, you're a Hall of Famer. Where else can you succeed 1 out of 3 times doing anything and consider yourself the best of the best? It doesn't exist. So I want to talk about the science of baseball, what goes into it, what goes into the swing path, all of those things. But it's going to take, an army to do all of this, right? I can't do all this by myself. I can't sit here and just talk. I see some people do podcasts, video podcasts, audio podcasts, and they just sit there and they talk for 2 hours. I am nowhere near engaging, funny, smart enough to do any of that by myself. So I'm going to have to rely on content from a lot of other people. So going to keep this pretty short since it's the first ever episode, the pilot. See, here's what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm going to do with this next. I know I have to upload it somewhere. I know I have to try to put it on some stream, different podcast hosting things. I have no idea how I'm going to do all that stuff. So this right here is the pilot of the Fuzz and Barrels podcast. So just to recap, I want to talk about baseball rules. I want to talk about helping kids play the game, getting to college. I want to talk about fundamentals of the game. I want to talk with umpires. I want to talk with coaches. I want to talk with anybody in the know in baseball, tournament directors, perfect game, PBR, all these guys. I know a lot of people. For instance, I know the people in Kentucky, which is where I'm from, a lot better than anybody else. But I'd love to have the guys from, say, PBR Kentucky on. I'd love to have the guys who run the pitching performance things in Lexington. I'd love to do all these things. And most importantly, I want to talk to some actual people who are playing the game. All right? We can talk about all this stuff. We can bring on Perfect Game, PBR, Performance Pitching Lab. We can bring on trainers from Smash On Baseball. We can bring on all these different people who tell. I want to talk to some people that do. Okay? Yeah, have fun with that. I know what I just did. Anyways, I want to talk about the actual people who are doing it. And those are the players, right? It's easy. It's easy to say, do this and do that. But I want to see what goes through their minds, what goes through their brains when they are on the field in its game time. I want to see how they prepare. I want to see how they handle themselves after a bad game. I want to see how a pitcher feels after he gives up a home run. I want to see how a hitter feels after he strikes out. All of these different things. So it's going to be baseball. We're going to have fun with it. I'm going to try to go through. I love college baseball. Today is the second day of college baseball. Junior colleges started a while back, but the Division I, I think, started yesterday. So we're going to, talk about, college baseball and go through a lot of that kind of stuff. If I can figure out how to ever do like watching some live games and talk to some people, that would be cool. I'm going to try to do that too. So It's going to be fun. It's going to be interactive. Hopefully, you guys, whoever watches, is going to gain some value off of it. I'm also working on some things personally. I know that when I'm talking, I say too much. And when I go back and watch this, I'm not going to clip it out, but I'm going to count how many times I did it. And one of my personal goals is to become a better speaker when I'm doing things like this and not use as a filler word. I'll come up with something different. I'll still have a filler word. I'm not smart enough to not have a filler word. So, anyways, that's what I'm going to do. Mostly baseball, but you never know. Whatever we find interesting and whatever path we go down, we're going to do it. This episode is going to be brought to you by, and we'll see who the rest of them are, but Gotwood Baseball. Do you swing a big stick? There's going to be some clothing line. It's going to be pretty funny. I think people will like it. And by Smash Zone Baseball. Smash Zone Baseball is a training facility here in Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm at. That's very near and dear to my heart for a lot of different reasons. But, that's going to be one of our other sponsors of the show. And we'll see who happens to go, going forward. So hopefully this episode, which is just the pilot, and it's just me talking about what the upcoming episodes are going to be. I almost like Seinfeld. It's going to be a show about nothing. But it's actually going to be about something, I hope. So we'll see. Not sure what the next episode is going to be like, but this is the pilot. The next one will be episode 1. Hopefully the production will be a little bit better, and I'll have figured out how to put this on a platform. So in the meantime, let's go.